to the entertaining Talkin' Sports.
What is going on, football fans? Back at it with another New York Giants video, and barring some major news coming out before like 1:30, this will be my last video of the day. So I just want to say Happy New Year's to everybody. Thank you guys for watching all my videos. Thank you guys for supporting my channel. But in this video, I'm going to break down the much-anticipated press conference today from General Manager Dave Gettleman. Dave Gettleman, of course, was decided by ownership to stay on with the New York Giants after they cut ties with Pat Shurmur. And in the interview, the press conference, Dave Gettleman talked a lot about the future of this team, about the past, about the present, what he came on to do with this team. He said he had two main objectives when he first came out to the New York Giants. One was to find a franchise quarterback. The other was to create sustainability to a path, to get the Giants back on the right track. And he said a lot of things. He talked about the cap space. I didn't get that quote, but he talked about that he wants to save $20 million in free agency for in-season purposes. So don't expect them to break the bank. And a lot of people might not like hearing that because they want the Giants to go out there and bring in all these big names. But at the end of the day, the better long-term approach and the smarter option is to do that. Not to make the same mistake that Jerry Reese did, where he went out and he bought all these big guys in 2016. It gave us 1 year of success, and then you saw us crumble because of it. So I think that's the smart and prudent approach by Dave Gettleman, and I like hearing that. I think that's a good approach there in that department. So I wanted to make note of that. He talked about a lot of things, though. He talked about the firing of Pat, how he liked Pat. He also tried to dispel the rumors that he does not work well with coaches. He was asked about that about Pat Shurmur. He said that they always talked, and they talked things through. It was not a dictatorship. It was a good press conference overall. Dave Gettleman is the type of guy you either love or hate. So if you don't like Dave Gettleman, you're not going to like anything he has to say anyway. And if you love him, you love him. I'm a guy that I really do like Dave Gettleman. I do, because of his confidence. And I think he is the guy that could get this job done. I just worry about the head coach. That's what I've said for weeks, the head coach that they could bring on. But I'm confident that Dave Gettleman, especially with some of the things he said in this press conference, is the right guy going forward. I really do believe that. I think the Giants are headed in the right path, and I think we have a bright future. But let's jump into some of the quotes from the press conference, and let's break them down. I broke down about 6 of them. And here is the first quote I wanted to talk about, off the mouth of Dave Gettleman. He said, "There are many reasons why the Giants are in the current state, and I take my share of culpability." Of course, when asked about the New York Giants struggles, and obviously that's the right thing you want to hear. It's basically the same answer that Mara and Tisch gave you yesterday, that it starts at the top. Well, after the owners, he's the next guy in line. So he was in charge of hiring Pat Shurmur, even though I think he was handicapped a bit. For reasons I've stated in the past. I didn't think that the New York Giants job at the time was a very desirable one. But he definitely should take some accountability. The Nate Solder signing hasn't proven to work out that well, and he's got a lot of things he's got to work on this offseason. Obviously, we heard the quote from the owners the other day about the batting average, talking about his missed free agent acquisitions. And Dave Gettleman, in that quote, is taking accountability. What else could you want him to say? The next quote, GM Dave Gettleman saying, "We've been ramping up the analytic and technology piece. That's where we're going, and I really feel good about the direction we're headed." When asked about new approaches to being a general manager, he said, and he also was quoted, I'm paraphrasing a bit, about you're always trying to improve as a general manager every year, looking for things to improve. He said he's going to get more into analytics this year. He's trying to get more with the modern NFL. And you know what? For an old school GM, that's refreshing to hear as well. You always want your guys to look to get better year in and year out. That's the only way you get better at his job. And he basically admitted, he said, listen, I could use that more as a tool to better my approach as a general manager. So it was another good thing to hear there. So, we'll see how that plays out. And I'm sure that will be a nice bargaining chip for younger coaches. A lot of younger coaches probably play into the analytics. Next quote, GM Dave Gettleman, when asked about Leonard Williams. He was asked about why they traded for Leonard Williams, things like that. I pulled up this quote. "Leonard Williams wants to be here, and now we know what we have. We felt we needed him." So when asked about why he traded for Leonard Williams, now a lot of people are still going to get on him for the draft picks that he gave up to get him. And he didn't give a very detailed response outside of that. But there you go. So if he's saying that they needed him and now they know what they have, expect Leonard Williams to be back. The only question is, what will the contract be? But expect Leo to be part of the New York Giants defensive line in the 2020 season. And you know what? Leonard Williams played really well for the Giants. A lot of people just look at the sack numbers, but you could definitely see the influence he had on the run defense since he got here, in my opinion. He did a good job of clogging up the holes. He got some good quarterback pressures, and I think he will be a valuable piece for the New York Giants. And if they could bring in a defensive-minded head coach, you might even get even more out of Leonard Williams. And we're going to get into the DC and OC. He did talk about that. A lot of people have been worried about that as we approach the rest of the quotes. Next quote, General Manager Dave Gettleman. We're all on notice. I feel that pressure every day, whether it's my first or 15th year. This, of course, was asked about. There was I think the exact question was, do you feel more pressure now in your third year coming off a coaching firing as opposed to your first year? And he basically said, no, I mean, and this is true, not just with general managers, with head coaches in the NFL. And if you don't feel that pressure every day, well, you're going to be replaced sooner than later. And that's basically what he said right there. He doesn't feel any added extra pressure now that Shermer's been fired. He said he's felt the same pressure since day one, and he wants to do the best job he possibly can to make sure he stays on with the New York Giants. And here's the next quote. General Manager Dave Gettleman said, we will suggest to the new coach that he speak with our current assistant coaches. They are under contract, but we will not block any of them from pursuing other options. So there you go. Everybody's been asking about James Betcher. Everybody's been asking about Shula. Well, there you go. That's the only reason they're on the squad right now. I think it's more of a respect thing. I don't think any new coach that's coming on here is going to want to keep those guys, being the failures that they've been with the New York Giants. The defense has been abysmal the last 2 years. Shula hasn't even been calling the plays. So those guys will not be back, but that is his explanation as to why they want to give the new coaches that come in the courtesy to at least have them as an option before they, talk about the other potential coaches that they want to bring in. So right there, right off the bat, that is showing you that he is not being a dictator there. He's saying we're going to let the coach have a say on whether or not he wants to keep these guys. It's not just my decision. So that's an encouraging quote there, in my opinion. And then finally, this is what Gettleman had to say. We need a head coach that can bring together an enthusiastic staff. We need leadership and intelligence and someone that can connect with the players. So what does that read to you, to me? To me, that reads, we want a young, energetic head coach. We want somebody that connects with the players. Players don't connect with 65, 70-year-old men. That's just the truth for the most part. So I'm expecting them from that quote to go out there and try to bring in a guy in his 40s, low 50s, something like that. Somebody that the players could connect with, an enthusiastic staff, someone who brings energy. I think that's what you're looking at. And, there's plenty of guys that match that criteria that the New York Giants are bringing in for interviews. So that doesn't really, narrow down the coaching search for me. But, another quote there that maybe is a little bit of a tell as to what head coaches they may be looking to bring on for the New York Giants. And that basically sums it up. I mean, what I gathered from that, hopefully it's all true. Hopefully that he's, basically willing to collaborate with anybody he brings in and give him an equal say. And if he does that and convince some of these, can convince some of these coaches that is the case, hopefully Gettleman is not a deterrent for anybody to come on and they want to work with this guy. The pros that Gettleman has, obviously, is his drafting ability. And I'm sure these head coaches will see that. They'll see the success he's had, especially in last year's draft. He brought in a number of good players, whether it be in the draft or undrafted free agents like a Caden Smith, Nick Gates. So Gettleman's done a good job in that department. And don't expect him to break the bank in free agency, especially if you sign Leonard Williams. We'll see. I don't think he was asked about Marcus Golden. We'll see what he does there. But you're probably only talking about $30 or $40 million he's going to spend in free agency, maybe $50 if he's leaving $20 million aside after the Leonard Williams signing. So there you have it, guys. And I actually think that's the smart approach. It might not be the sexy approach. It might not get you excited, but I think it's the right approach, and I think it's the right long-term approach because you got to leave some money aside for guys, like he said, to sign in season. You'll also want to have some money set aside for extending some of these players that are already on the roster once they hit the free agency market. If you plan to keep a Saquon Barkley, Daniel Jones, guys like that. You don't want to spend it all in one off season. You win in the draft. And that's basically what Gettleman said in this. He was also quoted exactly of saying that free agency is a tool used to set you up for your draft so you could draft the best available player. So that's also what he said. So overall, I thought it was an encouraging press conference. Dave Gettleman will remain on, and we'll see who the head coach will be going forward. As always, guys, if you liked what you watched, please subscribe, drop a comment, maybe give me a little thumbs up. Happy New Year's.